Hey Joe, it's Folks here. In today's video, I'm covering everything I've learned about print on demand since starting in 2016 to help you get started. I've collected tons of different questions from inside of my print on demand Facebook group as well as from YouTube comments here on some of my videos. During the video today, we're going to touch on some realistic goal setting for beginners. We'll talk about budgets you'll need to get started. We'll talk about how to actually start selling products and a whole bunch more. On the screen right now, you can see different timestamps for different subjects if you wanted to skip around during the video. Obviously though, if you just wanted to watch it straight through, you could do that as well. First things first though, what is print on demand? I want to spend about 60 seconds and talk through what this actually is in case you are completely new, so that way you understand. Print on demand is a business model that is growing. You can see in this report here on the Printful website, they talk about projected growth that by the year 2031, it's going to reach $39 billion in sales. I also found this report here that has a little bit of a bigger number. They are saying by 2032, up at the top here, that it is going to reach over $64 billion in sales. To put that in perspective, in the year 2022, it did just $6 billion. So we're looking at about a 10x growth over the next 10 years. Simply put, a print-on-demand business is going to be printing its products on an on-demand basis, meaning there's no inventory being held or purchased in advance. A print-on-demand store owner works with a supplier who will fulfill their orders. The supplier will print your item, package it, and ship it to your customer for you. And the best part is this happens automatically. An example of a supplier that I've covered here on the channel before is Printify. With Printify, we can look through their product catalog and choose a product. Let's say we wanted to sell these leggings here. We could make a design for them and list it on our store and begin trying to sell it. And when we make a sale, Printify will print the leggings and mail them to our customer. If you have any major questions, there's a very good chance that they are going to be answered in today's video, because like I said, I started my first store in 2016, and basically in this video I'm going to be sharing a whole bunch of things that I normally hear beginners ask questions about. That way, as you get started, you will have a clear picture about what it is you're doing and you will understand how everything is going to work. And if you're starting print on demand, there's really two different ways that you can get started. The first is by selling on a platform like Amazon or Redbubble, where you're basically creating an account there, uploading your designs, and then when you make a sale, the provider, Amazon or Redbubble, will actually print and ship your items for you. The key here to this method is that those providers are actually going to handle all of your customer service. If a customer reaches out with a question about an item, or even if they have an issue with an item, all of those questions are directed to Amazon or to Redbubble. Option number two would be you building your own shop, your own place, where you are going to be the one managing your customer service and customer inquiries and things like that. Options for this type of print on demand would be Etsy or Shopify. On Etsy, you are creating an Etsy account and uploading your designs, and people are finding them in the search results. If you're building a Shopify store, you're building your own website, driving traffic from social media, and that's how people are finding you.
Long term, you're going to have assets. That time is going to give you an ROI. If you put 6 months of time into an Etsy shop or a Redbubble shop or whatever it is, you're after 6 months going to have a marketplace shop. 6 months of a brand, you're going to have an asset. That's a website, that's an email list, that's a social media page with followers that ultimately could be sold. I have sold print on demand stores in the past. I'm not saying everybody here has to do that, but you have an asset. And that is something that I think is a tremendous value for the brand-based side.
For me, what I talk about here on my channel is about creating something sustainable for the long term. That means building out your own website, your own shop, and using the power of social media to make sales. That's not really going to be exactly what this video is about, but if you want help actually doing that, make sure to check out my course. There's a link down in the description. It is a completely free course. Inside, you're going to get access to over 30 step-by-step videos showing you how to build your store. First off, we're going to talk about budgets, because you are starting a business and there's going to be some things that you need to spend some money on. The first thing would be your Shopify subscription. A lot of people overthink this part. They think it's going to be very, very expensive, and it can cost some money, but ultimately at the beginning, they do have some really great $1 specials for you, where you can get $1 a month for your first 3 months. Another thing you might need to spend money on is your actual orders. So yes, you do not pay for things until you make a sale on your store, but one thing people don't really typically know about when they are getting started is that they actually have to fund the production of their orders. What I mean by that is when you are selling on your store, your customer is going to pay you. You are simultaneously going to be billed by your supplier, which means you need to have a payment method on file. Your money from the customer doesn't automatically go to your supplier and then you just kind of collect the extra. It is two separate transactions, and you will need to have a payment method on file with your supplier. Like I said, your customer pays you and you pay the supplier. In a lot of cases, people get nervous about this and they say things like, what if I have 200 orders? How am I going to pay for those? Honestly, that's probably going to be a long shot. You're likely not just going to wake up one day after doing zero marketing and have 200 orders that your supplier is billing you for. Let's just say that you did, though. Worst case scenario, just wait 2 days, wait for the money from your customers to transfer to you, and then fulfill your orders. Some other things that you could spend some money on that I would say are optional would be design resources, right? Paying for things that could help you with graphic design could be some good things to actually spend money on. You could also hire a designer to help you. In a lot of cases, we're not talking about hundreds of dollars for a design. Ultimately, if you're not a designer, investing in a designer to make designs for you could be a great move. After your store launches, then you'll probably want to experiment with some paid ads. I teach all about $1 and $5 per day ads to help you to get started. I would say if you had like $250 to $500 as a starting marketing budget for paid ads, that would be a good amount to start. Another thing you could spend some money on would be samples. In general, print-on-demand stores can really elevate themselves when they showcase their products with real photos and they use real videos of their products in their social media marketing. I would say as a general rule of thumb, maybe try to order 4 of your products from your store so that way you have them in hand, that way you can take photos of them, that way you can make videos of them, and if you have your own products in your hand, there's a very good chance that you might actually get way more excited about your business because you will have things that you created in your hand, and that may motivate you to actually continue moving forward. Another thing that could cost money would be influencers. I would say this is a little bit further out, not really around the launch of your store. After you've made some sales, after you've validated your ideas, you could find influencers who might want to work with you to actually promote your items. Another thing you could do is to give them a free sample. Obviously, something like that costs money for you, but you're giving it to them for free. The idea would be once they receive the sample, they can take a photo of the product and share it with their followers. Some other things that are kind of miscellaneous that you could spend money on would be premium Shopify themes. Honestly, I don't think those are super necessary. I build stores on free themes. Long term, if you wanted to upgrade, go for it, but I don't think it's a necessary expense. Another thing would be paid Shopify apps. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there that make a lot of apps seem like they are required to get started, and a lot of times if you start doing the math on some of those, you will see that the monthly fees really begin to add up. In general, I would say if you are going to invest in a paid app, I would get something to allow you to collect customer reviews. 2 examples would be an app called Loox, it's spelled Loox, or another one called Judge Me. These again would be the only ones that I would say you would absolutely need if you were going to actually invest in a paid app. Another major subject I get questions about is print-on-demand returns and how it all works. At the beginning of the video, I talked about how there's 2 different options for print-on-demand. You could sell on Amazon and they will handle all of your returns and all of your customer service. If you're selling on Etsy or on Shopify like I recommend, you are the business owner. You are the CEO. You are in charge. You set the return policy and you are the one that is actually going to be talking to the customers about any issues that they may have. Also, depending on where you live, keep in mind there may be some laws that will require you to actually accept returns. I live here in the USA, so what I do is I actually guarantee the quality of my items with my customers. So on my store, I will write something to the effect of quality guaranteed, contact us if you have any issues. In that case, your print-on-demand supplier will refund or replace the item if there is an issue with it, which means you are not risking anything by offering that guarantee. When it comes to my stores, what I do is I have language on the store that actually has a description of my business. I tell people that I am a made-to-order business, which means that no products are produced until you place your order. For that reason, returns are only accepted in the case that an item is defective or damaged. Again, that makes sure that I'm not losing profits just because someone changed their mind, and if someone does have a damaged item, my print-on-demand supplier will take care of me. Running a store on Shopify compared to a place like Etsy is quite different because we are the ones that set our own policies, and we don't have to worry about getting a negative review. If you are running a store on Etsy and one of your customers is upset about your return policy, theoretically they could leave you a bad review that will stay on your Etsy store forever. On Shopify, there's not really anything like that. So you are totally in control and you can talk to your customers in the way that you'd want to. If a customer gives pushback, you could simply repeat your return policy and even reference it listed on your store, basically showing them that, hey, we told you this on our site and unfortunately that is our policy. If I'm being honest though, in some cases I have allowed customers to return items. Ultimately, if someone does not stop emailing you about it, you are the business owner and you have the ability to say to them, okay, if you'd like to return it, please send it here and pay for the shipping yourself. About half the time, people will never actually send the item, and if they do send the item, that is a product that you now have in your possession and you could use it as a sample to take photos of, or even in the future, use it as one of your orders. Meaning, if someone returns an item to you and it's perfectly fine and perfectly new condition, later on, if you get an order for that item, you could cancel it in your store and simply mail the one you have to the customer. Another thing that a lot of beginners really stress out about is pricing their products. And I don't mean to be blunt here, but you need to just think about this. You are not dumb. You have purchased things before. You have a pretty good understanding about what things should cost. You're well aware that $100 for a hoodie is likely too expensive, or $60 for a tumbler is too expensive, or if a hoodie was only $20, you understand that that is a little bit on the cheaper side. My point here is think about what you're selling, do some research on some other stores online and come up with a range. Basically try to come up with an amount that you think is like on the very, very cheap side, and then an amount on the higher side that would give you the profit that you're looking for long term. Once you have that range and you're getting started though, what I would say is start at the lower end of your range. Instead of trying to price it super high as like a premium item, start on the lower end of your range and see if you can go make 5 sales. If you can't make 5 sales at a very low price, then you're never going to be able to make it at the higher price. If you can make those 5 sales at the lower price, don't worry about the missed profit that you might have if you were at a higher price. You have just validated your ideas. Something like that is extremely valuable, and after making those 5 sales, simply start to slowly increase your price. Another major subject that I get questions about is whether or not someone should do free shipping. I think there's a big myth out there that people believe that if they are starting a store, they need to do free shipping or people won't buy. The fact is that most businesses, besides Amazon, don't offer free shipping on everything. What I would say to do is establish a flat rate shipping cost. That way, if someone comes on your store and they order one thing, they will be paying a small amount for the shipping. If what you're selling has a very high shipping cost, like a canvas or something like that, or even sometimes different blankets and things that are maybe a little bit more heavy, have a high shipping cost over $10 or something, I wouldn't recommend charging the customer the entire thing. Instead, what I would do is set up a simple price-based rate on your store for half of the shipping cost. That way your customer is paying for some of it and you are protecting some of your profits. What you could also do is have something on your store that gives them free shipping if they spend over a certain amount. Basically, what I would do is try to do some math and figure out how much an order would be if someone bought 2 or 3 or more items, and whatever that number is, that is your free shipping threshold. This will encourage more people to buy, and it will protect your profits if people are only buying one item on your store. Another question I get from a lot of people is, hey, my store's open, should I order some product samples? Like I said before, ordering samples is not necessary, it's not required, but it is helpful. This is a real business that you are running. Ordering samples is a good thing. Ordering samples gets your products in your hands. You can take photos of them, you can take videos of them, you can post them on social media, you can have them on your store. Ordering samples is part of running your business. I'm not saying that you need to go out and order dozens of samples or anything like that, but you should consider ordering some. It's only going to help you. Another question I get a lot is about copyrights and trademarks. As people begin to make their designs, they start to wonder what these terms even mean and how they could affect them in their business. I think it's important to break down the differences between copyrights and trademarks. A trademark is a legal protection that a business actually files for. In order to get a trademark, a business has to actually file it. This process costs money, this process involves filling out an application, and ultimately taking some sort of action. Trademarks Trademarks would be filed on logos or brand names or even slogans. A copyright, though, is a little bit different. This is something you receive just because you created something. You don't have to do anything in order to actually possess a copyright. A trademark example would be something like the Nike logo and the slogan, "Just Do It." A copyright example would be like the name Hogwarts from inside of the Harry Potter books. The owner of that copyright would be the author. She made it up. She wrote the book. She receives a natural copyright to everything inside of it. She does not need to go one by one filing trademarks with the government to protect all of the character names or house names or the school or anything like that. She has a natural copyright to everything inside of it. The reason I'm bringing this up is because as print-on-demand sellers, we want to avoid using all of these different things. Obviously, trademark things like logos, names of sports teams, character names of people inside of books or even movies, different places that are made up from movies. We want to avoid all of it, including song lyrics as well. People that write music, that are in bands and that create hit songs, don't go file trademarks for every single word in their song. They receive a natural copyright which protects them. If you wanted to check if something was protected by copyright, though, you could jump on Google, you could type in USPTO trademark search, and you'll be able to look up anything. Another major question that I get about copyrights and trademarks from beginners is, should they actually consider copywriting or trademarking any of their own stuff? Meaning, should they try to trademark their brand name or their logo or anything like that? And if I'm being honest with you, since starting my first print-on-demand store in 2016, I have never trademarked a single thing. Partly because it is a very long process. It can also be expensive at times, but I've also come to the realization that, let's say I did trademark the name of my store or my store's logo or something like that, and then at some point, maybe I discovered another store that was using something that was awfully close to what I currently owned as a trademark. I don't see myself actually hiring a lawyer and pursuing that person, especially if they live in a different country than me. So I've basically just said to myself, from here on out, when I started, I am going to just run my business. I'm not going to worry about trademarks, because even if someone does infringe on my trademark, I don't think I'm actually going to take them to court. If you're someone that's looking for design softwares, there's some really great options out there such as Canva, Kittl, Photopia, Affinity, Photoshop, and Illustrator. Some of these are free and some of these are going to be paid. What I would say though is if you're someone that doesn't have previous graphic design experience, you probably shouldn't try to teach yourself to use one of these softwares. What you should do instead is try to hire a designer. Inside of the free course that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I have some videos in there showing you how to do that. If you're looking for design resources, you could check out places like Graphic River, Creative Fabrica, or even dafont.com. They have some really great stuff in those three sites that you can use in your designs. Obviously, just make sure to check the licensing because some of them are not allowed for commercial use. One thing that I'll say to you as well is if you're starting print on demand right now in the year 2024, I want you to know that print on demand is much bigger than shirts. Most niches out there are very saturated and overdone and super competitive when it comes to selling t-shirts. By choosing a more unique item, I've reviewed dozens of them here on my channel, you can cut right through that saturation. T-shirts are a very difficult product and is not something that I would recommend for beginners to sell. I've got lots of other videos here on my channel about that concept, so if that's the first time you're hearing that, make sure to check some of those out. What I'll close with here is I want to tell you to not be frantic. If you're starting your store out of desperation, you are probably having a lottery ticket mentality, meaning you are rushing through, you're trying to get some things thrown together, and ultimately you're treating your store like a get-rich-quick scheme. Print on demand is a real business. This cannot be rushed. Take things slow and make sure what you're producing is quality. You want to make sure you are thinking and not just creating random things to throw on your store. You really can't have the mentality that if you build it, they will come. You need to build a great business and create products and designs inside of niches that people will actually want to pay for. Like I said earlier too, I have a whole bunch of videos here on my channel outlining stuff like that. Hopefully all of these things in this video here today were helpful. If you have any other questions for things that I maybe didn't talk about in this video here, make sure to drop them down in the comments below and I'll make sure to do my best to go through and answer. If you got value out of the video as well, let me know about the value that you got, or if there was something that you didn't like or something that you disagreed with that I said, you can let me know that as well. Either way, thank you for watching and I will see you in the next video.